How y'all doing today? Looking at the cards, we got the Lovers, the Chariot, and Justice. And we're going to start with the Lovers. So take a look at the Lovers card. And we meet the god Paris. This is Paris. These three women are representing three different choices. And why Paris is here looking at these three women is because Zeus asked him to judge a beauty contest between his wife and daughters. Look at the specifics of the cards. We've got Hera, said was Zeus's wife, and this globe in her hand represents the worldly authority, okay? The ethical perspective of her husband Zeus, the emperor, okay? If you look over here at Athene and the sword she has in her hand, you'll learn all about the suit of swords soon enough. But it symbolizes the cutting power of the mind, the keen vision, cleverness. In between Hera and Athene is Aphrodite. And of course, she's the goddess of love, hence why she looks the way she does. And we meet her in the suit of cups when we get to the minor arcana. And she's a symbol of relationship. Paris is understanding that to pick one, there's going to be consequences from the others. So when the fool meets that part of himself, becomes Paris, he understands there is choices to be made. So Hera says, I will give you the world if you tell Zeus I'm the most beautiful woman. And Athene, she says, you choose me and I'll give you all the mental clarity to the strategy of life in the mental realms, right? And Aphrodite, she just took off her clothes and offered love. This is a young man. Who do you think he chose in those choices? He chose Aphrodite, which led to a whole bunch of consequences. This is the fool's first lesson in adulthood. So with the Lovers card here, the fool, he now is being tested. Where is his values now? This in a spread can also be an actual love triangle, depending on who you're reading and what is going on in their life. And if it's a love triangle, then you can use this card to explain what are they looking for. All three of these are great choices and beautiful women, but all of these choices lead to a different path. The Lovers represents this new layer of choice for the fool that has a lot dire of a consequence. First time he's tested to make a monumental choice, because if he chooses, when he chose Aphrodite, Hera and Athene, they walked away arm in arm plotting his death. That was a huge consequence. So he learned that he maybe should have thought more in his head than in his other head in this card. And that brings us to the Chariot. The Chariot, that's the god of war. That's Ares. And, he's decked out in bronze everything. His shield is on his right hip, and his face shield, and his red robe, and his sword to represent his masculinity, right? So there's his sword, and his cape, and his armor. And you've got the duality you've seen in the pillars in the card of the High Priestess, right? That's the duality of good and evil. This card is both. Which way do you go? You have both choices. And if you look at the landscape, it's very dry. There's no water. Ares, the fire god of war, has dried it all up. He's extreme. He has extreme aggression. He was a fatherless god in Greek mythology. And therefore he didn't have the guidance of a father. So when you look at this card, this dryness, this lack of water, that's a representation of lack of feeling or being able to relate. So then you become aggressive. Aries spear, that's simply that masculine energy, showing power and potency. There's male and female in this aggression. As Aries, the god of war, drives his chariot down this path, the horses are pulling him in two different directions, which is that conflicting animal instinct, that comes up within ourselves. You want the pizza, but you want to be skinny. That's shown in the chariot card. Okay? You want to be healthy, but you have these primal urges that make you want to go in the other direction. So there's no harmony in this card. Aries is a fatherless god, and so this is showing his natural aggression and competitive instincts. He lacks that archetypical father figure who might have provided him with more vision and more learning and meaning. But all he has is that iron will of a man, that courage, because he has no other way to deal with things, just through his aggression. So one of the things I didn't mention in the lovers is the judgment of Paris, this is called, okay? Because he was judged for his choice. And this myth is known as the first of life's great challenges in developing an individual. And it's the problem and choice in love. That first instinctual pull to take you away from maybe what you should have been doing. And the reason I tell you that now is because the chariot is the second huge life choice. The card, the lover's the fool. He's just a young kid thinking of romantic dreams of Aphrodite and the desire to possess something so beautiful. But here, he's learning to take the consequences of his actions like a man and face the anger and the conflicts. Because Aphrodite was somebody else's wife. He got in a little bit of trouble. So he's invoked anger and he's invoked love. So just like the fool, we men or women both must learn to struggle with the warring opposites and the warlike urges within ourselves. And what's interesting is he actually goes on to father a child named Harmony, because it's the perfect balance of love and anger. See the chariot come up, in a spread. The conflicts can't be avoided. These aren't things you can change. They need to be faced. Whatever you're going through needs to be faced so that you can come to harmony. And now the fool is going to go on, starting with justice, to learn the 4 great moral lessons of life. That's Athene on her throne, and she's all in white, and she has 2 white pillars. No duality there. She's pure. She's taken the vow of chastity. She's not interested in loving a man. She's interested in loving humanity. She was known as the goddess of civilization, really. Even though she's a warrior goddess, dual goddess to Aries god. She wasn't aggressive like Aries. Athene was all about the war of strategy. That's why she is the story we tell in the Suit of Wands. The Suit of Swords. We tell her story. It's all about the mental agility and strategicness of war, not the bloodshed that Aries represents and the aggression. She understands the need for war. She understands the need for balance. Look at the scales in her hand. So that people's crimes could be taken into context and understood on whether or not they truly should be punished. We've got the owl on her shoulder there, and that's the clarity of vision and wisdom. And that's because she isn't under the spell of love or lust. Nobody has her. Nobody owns her. She's her own woman. And so she can come from a place that is a benefit to humanity. And if we look at the sword in her hand, of course that's the masculinity. She's a balance of both. Black and white checkered floor is where you see the black come through in this card, right? The duality. It's on the floor beneath her because it shows her ability to integrate the dark with the light into an orderly and coherent design. She understands there's dark and light, and she's trying to find a balance between the two, the masculine and the feminine. So this is where you get your first of the 4 moral lessons to come. When this card comes up, it's very reflective. It wants you to look at your rational thought. Mental clarity is necessary. Cunning, strategic thought is necessary to make it through life in one piece. This goddess, her judgments aren't based on feeling. Her chastity is a symbol of the intactness of her ability to be fair and wise. Her mind is incapable of being corrupted. She teaches the civilized arts, how to be a good person. The 4 moral lessons the fool begins to learn through justice. What these 4 moral lessons are going to teach us is they're all going to contribute to what psychology calls the formation of the ego. When the fool meets justice, the fool has passed through the 2 great challenges of youth, and now he faces the necessity of building his character. So when the fool meets Athena, the goddess of justice, he must learn how to think clearly and how to cultivate the faculty of a balanced mind. Something he couldn't do here in the Lover card, right? And he has to be able to come to an impartial judgment. Justice is not possible unless we respect fairness and truth. So when you're reading somebody and this comes up in their reading, it's all about impartial decision making for yourself or other. And remember, the sword is always double-edged, because there's times when Athena is too chilly in her head, right? Too idealistic. Therefore, that's very destructive to warm, fuzzy relationships, personal relationships. She can be tough in. So the sword can, cut the heart with truths that are very inappropriate sometimes in situations. Again, I totally resonate with the theme. When the fool meets this beautiful goddess within himself, he understands he cannot stay forever in that purity, in a sense, and he has to move on to the next moral lesson. But he comes away definitely with a lot more understanding of what these 2 cards taught him. Okay, so thanks again for watching, and you can follow me on Facebook at Kimberly Dawn Empath, or in my Facebook group, All Things Afterlife. All right, I'll see you in a few with the next 3 moral lessons. Have a great day.